Shri Gurubhyo Namah Harihi Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai Shanti Shanti Shanti. Good morning to one and all present here. Today we have Col.Ishwar Reddy with us. He is an army officer who has worked tremendously for 28 years at the borders safeguarding the motherland, our pride India. Currently, he is associated with the physical training with the recruits. On behalf of Ramakrishna Math and Vivekananda Balak Sangha, I would like to welcome him and request him to take this session.
How's the Josh? How's the Josh? I can't hear you. How's the Josh? Yeah. You see, there is a change in atmosphere by this mere sentence. And this is what we do in the army to live up to the reputations for which we have worn the uniform. Right? The Josh in the army has always got to be high. And today we are celebrating the Kargil Vjay Diwas. I thought it would be appropriate for you. I presume all of you would be comfortable with English. Okay, that's good. So I'll give you an update as to what was Kargil, why the war happened and what was the reason. And I'll not go into details because the moment I go into details it becomes a bit boring. So I will just give you an overview so that you as citizens are aware about the Kargil war. Okay. So let's go through it. After that then we can take questions. Then I can talk to you about something else also, about the Agniveer and the prospects of how you people can join the army also. Okay. Way back in 99, lot many things were happening, and during that time, that was the year of the Kargil, right? But what actually, so if we talk about people, if we ask people, can you spot Kargil on the Indian map? Probably we may not be able to because we have never gone so deep into it. And why is it that they wanted to take over this particular piece of land which is mostly covered with snow throughout the year, and which was such great significance for the later operations or later developments. Okay. Now if you take your attentions to the map, everybody can see the screen? After 1971, we are aware of the war of 1971. What happened? East Pakistan was liberated from West Pakistan and was the result of the birth of Bangladesh. Okay? And which country was instrumental in that? India. Okay. Now after the war, when the Eastern Front was under operations, the Western Front also was under operations. There were exchange of land, occupation of land along the Northern Front also. Now after that, if you notice this red line, can everybody recognize the top of India? This is India, right? Right? Yeah, this red line that you see is a LC. It's a line of control. This came into being after 1971. Clear? And what we call as Pakistan occupied Kashmir, POK, is this part of the Kashmir which is still occupied by Pakistan. And where are we? We are, this is the line of control, and beyond this is where we are deployed. Clear? Now, after 71 war, ceasefire, everything in an agreement and everything was done up. What happened next? Why is it that they wanted to create problems? You see this? This is the line of control which I have depicted with this dotted line, right? Now, all along the line of control is our National Highway 1 Alpha, which goes from Jammu to Srinagar, then to Kargil, then to Leh. Are you with me? There is an alternate route through from Pathankot to Kullu Manali and then to Leh, but this road during that time was not so well developed, and this had very high passes. So, most of the year this road would be covered with snow and this would not be tenable. So, if you had to send anything, whether it is food, material, resources to Leh, how do you send it? To this NH1 alpha. And when NH1 alpha comes right below Kargil, right? What was the Pakistan aim? If they capture Kargil, they would cut off this line of communication, right? And the moment if they cut this off, we would not be able to send any more food, forces, reinforcement, should anything happen in Leh. Are you with me? Yes. So, though it was a small piece of land which was covered with snow throughout the year, you see the significance of that. If they had cut off that, if they had won that piece of land and they had cut off that road, and probably over a period of time or short period of time, we would have been losing Leh, Ladakh and other such sources, areas also. Okay? Okay. So, the war took place in 3 sectors, that was the Kargil sector, Batalik sector and the Dras subsector. Everything was kept secret by the Pak army. Even their own army, the entire army did not know. It was only the front operational commander who knew what was in plan and what has to be done. And how did they plan to do it? These were the forces of Pakistan. Clear? Now, this is the road that we are talking about. And they had to, even their forces were only deployed up till here. You see this red line? This shows that's a battalion. So, beyond that, so what did they do? Had they come out in a war, we could have confronted, but then they didn't have the guts to come face to face. So, they tried something different. What? They came as shepherds, Bakriyals. Bakriyals are huge. They are people who have got huge herds of goats. They keep grazing them on the mountains. In the form of those mountain and this thing, Bakriyals, they came and they crossed our line and they came into our forces. And now you will say that what were we doing out there? Why were we not there? As I told you, this entire area is snow covered, and during winters it becomes almost inhospitable. So what we do, in the summers we go occupy and then monitor the entire area, and then in the winters we fall back, the snow takes over, covers, nobody is able to access it, and then once the snow starts melting, again we go and then we take care of it. Understand? So that was the entire plan. So in one of those winters when we came, they occupied. Now if you see, this was by end of June 1999. They had come into our area. You see, this is the line where they should not have crossed, and this is the road that we are talking about, and they had all these yellow spots. They had started reaching there. Okay. Do you want anybody to come into your house? Huh? The only way that we can get them out is fight, push them back. Initially when we came to a notice, we started negotiating, but however things did not work out. Because what did the Pak Army say? We don't know, they are not regular forces, they are beyond our control. Understood? Though everybody out there were a regular Pakistani soldier only. But then they refused. After that, we had to do nothing but, how's the Josh? How's the Josh? Kick them out. Understand? So that's what we have to do. So these are few important battles. I'll not go through the battles in detail. Again, how it goes, once you go through the slides, you will know as to how difficult the terrain was and how difficult the fighting at that level was. Okay. We had the Dras, Mushko and Batalik, and you must have heard of all these names, like the Tololong Pass, you had the Tiger Hill, Dras, Kargil. Suna hai na? Kelidiri alva? Yeah. So all these places are where the Indian soldiers fought to push them back. After all, we could not allow them to access Kargil, to cut off this road and then to cause more problems to us. Okay. I will not go through these details. You see this mountain on the side? If somebody is sitting on top, you will know how difficult firstly to climb. It's difficult, right? Thereafter, when you are climbing from the top, he is firing. Okay, even more difficult. Secondly, you are not only climbing, you got your own ammunition and you got your own weapon load uske saath. So what most of the places we resorted to was the element of surprise. We resorted to a terrain where the enemy did not expect us to come from. If you have to climb this feature, how will you climb? From this gradual slope, right? Huh? Can you climb from here? No, sir. But that's what the Indian Army did. Got it? So there was a commando team which scaled through the rocks from directions which were not expected by the enemy. Clear? So, when it comes to getting back our piece of motherland, the Indian Army is capable of doing anything and everything. So, this is one of the real pictures, so you will understand how difficult the mountain terrain was. This is Tiger Hill. Much talked about Tiger Hill, right? And if you have to attack this Tiger Hill, you are coming, and if somebody is sitting there, he doesn't even need a gun or a weapon, he only requires one small stone to throw at you, right? And you are climbing, and then if the stone is coming on top of you, will you be able to save yourself? No, difficult, right? So that is how this point had to be captured. Initially, phase 1, we captured the Tololing point, and then we captured point 5140. So by phases we kept on capturing, and finally what I am showing is a military description. Got it? And the same thing, had I been a movie director, I would have projected it in a more dramatic and cinematic way. Understand? Or that probably you will get to know when you see those movies, right? So actually, see this is a mountain ranges. We cannot even think of having an adventure activity out here, and there we are fighting a war. How many of you want to climb these mountains? And when they are covered with snow, do you want to? Just imagine if you have to go from here to this. How much time will you take? 4 hours, 2 hours, many days. We are coming to a realistic figure. Okay? Yeah, it will be days. We are not talking about hours out here. We are talking about days. That is the level of this terrain that we are talking about. And when the army moves, it is not just going from that place to place, we need to carry the entire stuff with us. It's not just we are going there, we are going to there to fight a war. If you have to fight a war, we need a weapon, a ammunition, and then we need the food, and we need the clothing, and we need the tentage and other things. Okay? We need to be what we call it as self-contained. Okay? So everything that I require will be on my backpack, and it works out to be, for individual, works out to be around 22.35 kgs. Along that does not include my weapon, does not include my heavy gear, does not include my shoes, and does not include my bulletproof jacket and other things, right? So you have to train yourself for all such conditions. So while we are out here, we are doing nothing but training ourselves for any such eventualities. Should these eventualities come up, we will not be found wanting. Ashalva, you, in order to prevent war, you have to be prepared for war. You heard of this sentence? You've been in the classroom. I'll give you an example. You've been in the classroom, right? If somebody is weak, you will always keep troubling him. And next to him, he makes friend with a big guy. He goes and sits next to him. Will you be able to poke him? Because the big guy will punch you. right? Yeah. What is the big guy doing? He is doing nothing. He is just big, strong, prepared himself, he is sitting. That's all. Is he doing anything? So, just by making himself powerful, he has ensured peace. Right? So, what we are doing out here is we are just preparing ourselves to be powerful, so that none of the other students try to poke the student named India. Understood? So you have to prepare, you have to show it to the world that yes, you are big, you are strong, and should anything happen, we will not let you go scot-free. Clear? That is what army is, that is what Indian Army is, and that is what Indian Army is preparing for. And any such actions or any such this thing required, we will not be found wanting. Clear? See, this is the actual operations on Tiger Hill. If you are talking about, if there was one company strength which was attacking on the normal routine, there were others who scaled from heights which surprised them. Understood? So this surprise element was the one which shook them, shook the enemy, and that is how we were able to get back. These are the few of the actual photographs out there in the terrain to tell you as to how inhospitable the terrain was, and that is one of the reasons that it was never felt that there was a requirement of holding it throughout the year. But now after the incidents, we are holding it throughout the year, even when in winters, just like Siachen. Clear? Was it only the Indian Army? So there was adequate support from the Air Force and Navy also. Okay. And when Army was planning to attack, before the attack could go in, it was the Air Force which used to come and bombard that particular target. Clear? Then the army used to assault. So what happened in the initial bombarding? There a few of the, once we prepare our defenses, we set up our weapon points, positions, right? We prepare from where we can fire. So those were destroyed. However, those people went into the bunker, they could save themselves. Notwithstanding, when is the victory? Victory is finally achieved when you can go there and host your flag, right? The land has to be physically captured. So however much the Air Force bombards or the artillery bombards, the infantry has to go in and occupy. And like the photograph that I showed you, the Alpha Company, Bravo Company, Charlie Company had to go there, ensure that the remnants of the enemy were totally destroyed, and that is when that we could say that now we have got back our piece of land. Got it? Okay. Now, what about the naval? How did the Navy operate? Any idea? Huh? Submarines? In that pahad mein? Huh? Helicopter? Navy? Navy is waterman. Once a country goes into operation, it is not only on one particular front. we have the water bodies, the naval forces moved towards their borders. Understand? The moment when a huge force of Indian Navy moves towards them, they will not be able to extract the forces which are deployed out there to send them for the operation elsewhere. So what happens? It is just like if saying, let me say, explain it to you in the classroom. There are two doors, okay, classroom. There are three friends, and all three friends, they want to win. There is a dog which has come out there, okay, and the dog is white. So they, all the three friends, what do they have to do? They have to fight the dog, right? And all three friends, if they get together, they'll be able to win and overpower the dog, right? Okay. Now there are three of them. There is one dog out there. Now suddenly there is another dog which comes out here. What will happen to those three friends? One will be there, they'll be separated. Understand? The same way, when the Navy moved towards the border, it ensured that a big strength of the Pakistani army could not exfiltrate from there to support the operations out here in this. That's how the Navy supported. Clear? Okay. These were a few prominent soldiers. We have heard of them. We had the Paramveer Chakra, 4 of them, Mahavir Chakra, 7, and Veer Chakra, 52. These are gallantry awards given to soldiers for their act of bravery. Okay. So though we had a good many casualties also, but then everything said and done, we had to get back our piece of motherland, right? If I ask you a simple question to any one of you, whom should I ask? Volunteer. If I ask you, do you want to die?
Yes, I am ready to die for my motherland.
No. Okay. You are ready to die for the motherland may not be, as a person, I am in uniform, but I don't want to die. Okay, that's also a good option. But understand the difference. None of us in the uniform or anybody as a person want to die. But the only difference is, should the need arise, I am willing to die to ensure nothing happens to my motherland. So, want to die is a little different from I am willing to die. So, but I will not give up my life. For that, I will train hard, I will ensure I will do anything, but despite all that, if I am not able to protect my motherland, I will protect it till my last breath. Are you with me? So to say that army men out there are all want to die is not what we are wanting to do. Yes, but the need arise, they are all willing to sacrifice their lives. Because everybody has a family, everybody has a life, everybody is looking forward, but then they are prepared and they are mentally tuned and they are ready to uphold their cause, the cause of our motherland, right? Safety, security. So, it's the soldiers who are patrolling out there, because of which we are going for a morning walk, we are sitting and doing in the park, walking in the park, we are going to schools, we are doing all that. Unknowingly and this thing, the safety that is provided to us out here is because of the sacrifices that he is doing out here, out there on the borders, right. So, that was just a broad overview about the Kargil incident as such, why it occurred and why we had to fight back to get back our motherland, and why is it that we are celebrating this particular day. With me? Yes, okay. Now the second thing comes to is, do you want to ask any questions? Anybody? Any question, whatever? Yeah.
So you sent a group of Navy approached this one, right, so Pakistan. So like the Pakistan Navy could approach the Indian Navy. Why would the army come forward, sir? Like they would be in the operations side, sir.
Yeah, it is not just, I said the physical occupation of land is important, right. So once you go into the war, it is not just infantry which goes. In army, we got different segments. Like if it is the infantry, it is a foot soldier. But to support that, we got the armored and the tanks. We got the artillery which has to move in. We need the supplies to move ahead. We need the ordnance to move ahead, the equipment and other things. And we need the vehicle and equipment repair team also to go ahead. There are lot many things which go in apart from the main source of the fighting this thing. To support that, there will be lot many sources which have to move in. Now, if only the Navy is sitting idle, then the people behind Navy for the support and other things, they can be taken out for other operations. But in case this particular Navy, which is on the sea coast, if they have to engage in war, this requires support. So this support comes in the form of other, wherein then you can't withdraw them to send them to other sectors. So that is how you restrain them. It is just that even if the dog is not out there, just a mere presence of another dog somewhere close by also, you will tell one of your friends, you just go guard that door, right? We cannot be found. So out of the three, at least one is occupied. Now the only two are left there to fight. Chalo, we have depleted the strength. So that is how it works.
And what about intelligence, like intelligence gathering or any other friendly nations? Like
It works. It works. Intelligent works. Intelligence. We are always on the lookout for intelligence. We have got our own resources. We've got our own int agencies.
Sir, but what are the time of Kargil, sir? There was no intelligence gathering.
So you see, during that time, what he is asking is, how did we allow those people to come inside? When they were coming inside, were we not aware, and why did our intelligence fail, right?
Yeah, sir. Like
Did-
the many agencies, IB and
Did they,
was-
did they come in as troops?
No, sir.
There are villagers who are living in that area, and there are villagers who stay there in the peak of winters also. And who are they?
Sure.
Most of them people are these bakriyals. What do? In the summers, when the snow melts in that area, they utilize that land to grow a crop. So that's a 3-month period, 4-month period. They harvest that crop, stock it up in the house. Mostly things like corn is what they grow out there. So corn, they utilize it as a food. The remaining part of it, they utilize it as a feed for the goats. So then they keep looking after the goats in the winters, and the goats become the source of their food also along with the corn. So that's how they survive. So even if we monitor them, so we keep noticing this movements of this bakriyals in and out. It happens in both the sides, even in their side and our side. So probably we didn't pay so much of attention saying that there are Bakrial movement and other things, but then later on after the snow starts to melt, we send out our patrol to gain access to the land. That is when we saw, okay, nahi, they have pitched up and other things. So, could be. So, that is how later on the things started changing. Let him ask one more question. So,
Sir, so when the army was in the front line, sir, so what were the paramilitary forces doing? Like they were back.
if you see,
Not special, paramilitary.
I was also there,
Yes, sir.
but I was not in Kargil. Okay, but my unit was deployed in little ahead of Pathankot. It was called Samba sector. Once one operation takes place in one particular sector, the entire border has to be beefed up, because it is not army, it is not the enemy which is saying that I am going to attack only from this one. Now, to like a simple thing, if I have to reduce the strength of the enemy out here, I will start a operation from this end also.
Yeah, right, sir.
Depletion of forces, right? Now, when I am sure that Indian army is going in for an assault out there, the Indian army is to be ensure that the strength of all along the border, right from Kargil, right down all along that line of control that I showed.
Yes. Yeah.
You saw?
Yes, sir.
Red line? The entire line was beefed up. So, every one of us were in stand 2. Stand 2 is in operation op alert. That means in the next 10 minutes, we need to launch. So, we were there, the paramilitary forces were there, everybody were in this thing. That is why it was a big event, though the action took place only this thing. And the reason that we were well prepared all along this thing, that is the reason that Pakistan did not dare to come or create a create an enforce in some other area also. Got it? Now, if you read about the 1971 war, once we started assault on the eastern sector to liberate Bangladesh, what did Pakistan do? They started attack in our Kashmir. Okay, this is the western sector, right? And why did they do? Because they didn't wanted our force to go out there. So, but then we were prepared. That is how war works. If I have to win at one place, I will create a fake or some move elsewhere also, so that people start diverting out there, and then I can create an infiltration. And even if I don't win this way, and if the enemy doesn't stop me there, I can gain access that side. So, that is how it is. So, everywhere we have to be prepared. So, almost entire we were on the stand too. We didn't sleep almost nights. We were constantly on the watch. We were prepared. Mines were laid. Everything were done. And we could have gotten orders within the next 20 minutes you need to launch, and we were ready to that extent. Got it? So, it is not only Kargil, that is why I said entire Indian army were in the operations. Huh?
In the 1971 war, why did India not occupy Bangladesh?
Why did India not occupy Bangladesh? India was never wanting to occupy Bangladesh. Why did India want to do Bangladesh? Why was it this thing? It was only because India started facing problems when more of Bangladeshis started coming inside India, right? So, then it becomes a moral duty of the neighboring country to ensure that there is something wrong which is going on to help them out. Got it? And you cannot go and help some other country if there is problems unless and until the leader of that country asks you for some particular help, and that is what happened in 1971. Got it? The leader that time asked for help for the atrocities which was performed on the Bengalis by the Pakistani Rangers. As a result, people started coming in. crossing the border and coming into India for safety. But then our home is there. We cannot take in 10 people, 20 people, 300 people, 10 lakh people, 10, got it? So then what about our this thing? So we need to protect. That is why we were never wanting to occupy that. Okay.
Sir. So, good morning, sir. So, my doubt is, as we know, in the LOC, there is always firing, like our troops also fire, their troops also fire. But why is the firing not there in LAC, like in the China border? Line of actual control.
Yeah. See, I got your question. What he is asking is, we have got one border or on the Pakistani side and we got a similar line or the border towards the Chinese. Now why is there always disturbances towards the Pakistani side and why is there very little disturbances or very little firing going across the Chinese side? Am I right? Yeah. Okay, sit down. Now, any state, Pakistan is a troubled state. Their finances is bad, their governing is bad, their economy is bad. So, the governing body, in order to distract the mind of the general public, the best way they resort to is by instigating the Kashmir issue. Right? So that is why they keep doing this incursions off and on. Are you with me? If it is Pakistan, it is a troubled state. In fact, to distract the general public from all the other problems which are there within the state, they do keep doing this. We are not ones to violate the ceasefire, but then we will not allow them to come inside. Should they come anywhere close to our, nowadays we got to the extent of all along the LC, we have put up a fence, a barbed wire fence. You have seen in the movies, a thick this thing, that is the actual which is there all along the LC. He said, okay, we are not bothered about anything, you stay, do whatever you want, we are staying, we are concentrating on our progress, we are concentrating on our development, we are concentrating on our well-being for our youth, for our country, for everything. That is what Indian policy is. Now Pakistani, they cannot do that because they are in heavy debt. There are lots of other reasons. So that's why they say that to distract the public, they keep this Kashmir issue alive. By Kashmir issue alive, they keep violating the ceasefire line. Okay? But however, now coming on to the LAC, China is busy preparing to be a superpower. Okay? Now it is thinking 10 steps ahead. It is developing economically. The moment a war takes place, the development goes back. Even a period of 10-day or a 15-day war, the economy goes back by at least 10 years. China does not want, China is sensible. China does not want to happen that. India also does not want to happen that. So we are peaceful at that that occasionally something happens which is over a long period of time, that has got its own implications. Clear? So they are two sensible countries concentrating on a long-term basis, that is why they are there. But this is a rogue nation, Pakistan, that is the reason that they are infiltrating, and that is the reason that we also have to reciprocate. That is the reason that our strength on the Pakistani border is larger than the Chinese border. Clear? Okay.
Sir, Jai Hind, sir. Sir, one question as a parent. So now, totally on different lines. So if I want my son to get highly educated, I don't want him to enter army through the NDA route, but want him to get through the CDS or a different route. Is there a possibility for him to get onto a higher grade in the army as a senior officer if he studies really well from a premier institution, at the same time starts his career because he's totally enthusiastic and he is actually highly passionate about army. So he wants to start his career at a lucrative level in the army. So what are the options? I just wanted to check with you on that.
Yeah, now I think any questions about the Kargil as such? Now I'll shift my topic. I've got 20 minutes more time. So I will shift to as to how you can get enrolled into the army and what are the options for you people. Sorry. Okay. In the army, there are two levels of entries. Okay. One is at the officer level and second is at the Jawan level, right? Now, when you come to the army, the officers, the highest rank of entry is the lowest rank of the officers in the Indian Army. So, you have to join the army as a lieutenant only. Clear? You cannot join anywhere higher than that. If you have to join the army as an officer, you have to join and enter at the lieutenant level only. And in order to do that, there are different ways that you can do that. You have the, after the 12th, you have the UPS exam to be written, and after clearing, then you can join the NDA. Everybody aware of the National Defence Academy? Yes, sir. Okay, National Defence Academy you join, wherein 3 years you will be doing your graduation at the institute along with military training. Clear? So, you are not graduating outside, but you are graduating at NDA, National Defence Academy. I joined NDA after my 12th standard. So, I did my graduation. Along with that, from morning till evening, I was in uniform, I was running through up and down and other things, going through the rigors of training. It's not that here after PUC, we go to college, come back. What do we do in the evening? Huh? Nothing. Or someday you don't decide to go to the college, then you go to the movie also, right? No such liberty is there. So, it was a disciplined drive. Along with your graduation, you do your military training, and after 3 years you finish your this thing, then you go to the Indian Military Academy, wherein you do 1 more year of extensive military training only, and thereafter then you get commissioned into the Indian Army. Clear? That is the lowest and the earliest that you can get into the Indian Army as an officer. Okay, now you say, okay, after 12th I tried, I didn't get through, I didn't clear UPSC. UPSC had all exams, right from science, maths, geography, history, everything, all subjects are there. And in fact, to get the overall percentage, it is mandatory for you to ensure okay, that you get the basic minimum in all the subjects. You may have done extremely well in mathematics, but then however, if you are not in the subsections of history, geography and civics, which are there in part, you should be able to score those marks also. Clear? It's a different, you have not been able to clear, or somebody who is not very good in maths. So, he doesn't clear UPSC, he does his graduation outside, then he applies for CDS. CDS also there are 2 entries. One is you can go directly to IMA as a direct entry, wherein take note. I, after 12th, joined NDA. I finished 3 years of graduation out there. Then I went to IMA. I have 1 year of military training. But you have done your graduation outside, that is 3 years, and thereafter then you are able to clear CDS entry and then get into IMA. You will not have 1 year, you will have 1.5 year. The initial 6 months will be a compact training of what I did in 3 years of NDA spread over apart from my graduation. Okay. So that will be imparted to you in the 6 months, and then you come. Meanwhile, the people who come from NDA, they join, the last 2 terms will be the same, and thereafter then you get commission. Alternatively, you are not good in maths, you don't want to clear, then you can go in for the short service selection also. You clear CDS, then you apply for short service selection, wherein you will be trained at OTA Chennai. I am just coming from there. I was a physical instructor out there. There people come in after doing the training for 1 year. They are given to serve in the Indian Army for a period of 10 years. Earlier it was 5 years. Now for a period of 10 years. After that, if you are being good and if you have performed well in the 10 years, you will be given a permanent commission. Got it? Otherwise, you will be told to leave. What is the mode of, what is the name of the entry? It is a short service. Clear? The aim was to that. So very few people get to. So somebody who wants to stay for 10 years in the Indian Army as an officer and then come out and then do something, that's enough. Join the short service, serve for 10 years, get the knowledge, get the experience, get the confidence, get the discipline, come outside and do your work. So these are basically the 3 entries. Apart from that, you have various other entries. You can do your engineering and then go up here for a direct SSB. Any which way, whatever mode you have to become an officer in the Indian Army, you have to clear SSB. Okay. What is SSB? Service Selection Board. And what is that? It is nothing which the other companies will call it as a simple interview. But here the interview lasts for 4 days. Understood? So they test you in and out. So that is how it works. So these are the 3, and further details, sir, apart from that there is no other entry direct this thing. You can do your engineering outside and thereafter then you can join the army, but then you will be given an antedate seniority and you will be given the rank of a captain. So that also, because for engineering it does not take 3 years, it takes 4 years. That to cover that period you will be given that antedate seniority which you do engineering outside and then get enrolled. You are a technical entry, that is what we call it. So apart from that, if you cross this age bracket to get into the Indian Army is no. Okay? Now we are talking about the latest Agniveer. अग्निपथ नहीं है, अग्निपथ तो अमिताभ बच्चन पे चला गया, तो अग्निवीर से, हाँ, अग्निवीर. Okay. Now what we had the entry at the lower level was, they used to come, train, join the Indian Army. They didn't have this SSB or anything, they only had a physical measurements, they had some physical test to be cleared in the form of a run, pull-ups and then other basic tests, and then they had the health wise medical to be cleared, and then they had a small written test. The written test, based on that, all combined, a merit list used to be formed and the people used to be enrolled into the Indian Army as sepoys. With me? Now what the system government has changed is, this system has been stopped. Now the only mode of entry is for the Agniveers. So you have to undergo the same, the entry system is almost the same, but you will be termed as Agniveers. If there are 100 Agniveers which are enrolled out here, after a period of 4 years, 25 of them who are the better, this thing, who are motivated, and somebody who may join the army and say, okay, bhai, this is not the life that I am looking for, and other things, want to leave. So after 4 years, they can be trained, they can be disciplined, they have learned more experience, and then they would have seen the almost the entire India, and then they can come back and then start their own life out here. All from Bangalore, right? All of you? Even I am from Bangalore. From the day I was born, I was out here only. I did my schooling from military school, Bangalore. After 12th, I joined NDA. Got it? NDA is in Pune, Khadakwasla. Okay? So Khadakwasla, I did my 3 years of training. Thereafter, then I had to go to IMA, right? That is when one of my colleagues said me, by Reddy, where is your quilt? I said, what is quilt? Quilt is something that you take on you during winters. I said, to hell with winters, sir. I have got this blanket, and I have been living with this blanket right from my childhood till this place. You have seen blankets at home, right? Yeah. And I carried my same blanket out there and this thing. And the temperature when I reached there, out there in December, it shook me. So then I came to know as to what exactly a quilt was. It was nothing but a mattress on top of you. Okay. It is a 5 kgs of cotton. It is just like a thin mattress, and that is how you take it. Without that, you can't survive. The blanket out here that we have. So this wall gives you an experience. It gives you an insight as to what the entire country is about. Where you need to serve at various places within the span of 4 years. You will be disciplined, and other things. You can come out and you can lead a better life. So that is how the aim of our Prime Minister is there, and that is how this concept is there in Israel and other few countries. So that is how it has come to inspire the youth of our country to a better future. Clear? Okay. I have one, there was an advertisement a couple of days back in the newspaper about this Agniveers. If you know, if you have noticed it, they have given in details, and there is a email ID. Anybody who wants to note down, not email ID, it's a site. Go to the site www.joinindianarmy, no space in between, .nic.in. I am saying once again, www.joinindianarmy, JOININDIANARMY, www.joinindianarmy.nic.in. This gives you the complete details of the various types of entry into the Indian Army, and this gives you the details about the latest Agniveers also. Chalo. Last question for the day.
So what is your view on the opposition given by the people for Agnipath scheme?
See, the problem in everybody's life is the biggest resistance that we have to change, right? We don't want to change as to what is going on, and to have to say, and the opposition, each opposition at various states have got their own motives as to why they are creating this opposition. Do you play any game? You play football, right? Where do you play? National grounds. Okay. What's the size of the ground in national ground? You don't know. So the normal dimension is 90 meters by 100 meters. Okay. Now, if you, I'll call you over for to play with your team out there in my MEG, and my ground out there is 70 meters by 90 meters. Chota hai. Should you refuse to play? So what best do? You adapt, right? So the thing is, there are lots of things which are going to change in your life. Today you are thinking about going in this particular path, it may not be there. Tomorrow there will be some changes. Who has to adapt? If you have to blame the situation, blame this thing, then you are going on a back foot. You have to progress. You have to this thing. Go ahead. See what the difference, what it is, and other things. And everything has a good and a bad. Is there a wrong decision in life? You've been taught in spirituality, na? It's just a decision. Good or bad is what you give importance to. So this is some decision which has been taken by the government in the foresight, but you have to support it as the youth of the country. You have to support the decision of the governing body. So go ahead with this. In case you have Vela time, that is when you resort to all such riots and other things and destruction. If you are sensible, if you are youth of the country, you will think about progress, you will think about going and making good of what the decision has been given out. Okay? So I don't support the riots and other things. I support the youth who are willing to walk on this path. Thank you.
So, we are distributing India flag, so any importance about that? Few words about India flag, importance about it could be good.
Okay, I believe we are distributing the flags, Indian flags. Whenever the Indian flag is there, we need to pay due respect to it. Firstly, we ensure that it is not placed in a place where the respect is not given, like near the footwear, or if you see it lying on the ground, if it this thing, please ensure that it is taken up and placed in the right place. Okay. And even if you have to, if you have finished doing with that, if it has to be destroyed, just don't throw it in the dustbin or something. Either cut it into pieces and other things, and then ensure that it is properly, like we do homam and other things. So we give the importance to those sacred threads and other things. What do? We either bury it in a ground or tie it around a tree and other things. Why? Because there are certain energies which these things carry with them. Got it? And we as a nation and we as a citizens of this country, we are to pay respect to that flag. Okay. So having been given to you, please ensure that it is not loitered around or not kept around, and then pay due respects, and then if it is not there, kept in the right place at your residence also. In case you see anywhere anything where the Indian flag or even the Indian tricolor is there, it doesn't take much time to just pick it up and put it in the right place. Does it? Okay. One good thing leads to another good things. So if you do it, probably seeing you 10 other people will do it, right? So let's say, can we distribute? Maharaj. Okay, thank you. Pranam.
Today we had Col.Ishwar Reddy sir with us. Sir has given his valuable insights about the Kargil War of 1999. He has also taught us about the terrains and peaks of Kargil. This has helped us to understand a brief outline of the Kargil War. He has also briefed us about the various entries into the elite forces of the nation. This session has inspired us a lot and has also motivated all of us. On behalf of Ramakrishna Mutt and Vivekananda Balaka Sangha, I would like to thank him wholeheartedly and request him to accept this small token of appreciation.